The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is James from Cave Dweller Music. I am here with my co-host Brendan, and today we have A.L.N. from the almighty project Mizmor joining us. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Hey y'all, thanks for having me.
Anytime. So just for anyone who doesn't know you or your music, do you want to just tell people a little bit about what you're about?
Yeah, for sure. Mizmor is a one person project that I started in 2012. It's black metal and doom metal kind of mixed together with some droney passages and acoustic passages to connect the two sounds. It began as a way for me to process my loss of faith in the Christian religion. And over the course of the last, I guess almost 11 years now, it has kind of been my journal and therapy for that journey, which has gone from struggling Christian to agnostic to atheist.
Nice. What made you go with Hebrew themed stuff?
I was studying the Bible abroad at a school and had recommitted my life to Christ. And I was really inspired by the poetic books of the Bible, which includes the book of Psalms. And the Psalms, a lot of them are actually kind of dark and confused and sad and embittered pleadings with the Lord. And that became kind of my story as well. And I used that Hebrew word for psalm, which is Mizmor, as the project title.
Nice.
Yeah, I just have to say that I connect very strongly with the concept behind the project because I went through the exact same experience myself.
Oh, and, really?
Yeah, I was raised in a religious household, and then I had that sort of crisis of faith in my teenage years, and then gradually progressed from, like you said, agnostic to atheist. And it's a bit of a jarring experience, as you would know. It isn't like as simple as people think it is if they just talk about it loosely, like, oh yeah, I just stopped believing in God, because it's your whole worldview and your identity to some extent is based in that, and it's kind of shatters your reality when that changes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, I know it's easier for some people than others. For example, different members of my family have, one person has, never really believed that strongly and just kind of always, it was easy for them to distance themselves from the faith. And for me, I became really invested in it. And so it was like a huge loss and totally earth shattering, and turned my worldview on its head when that happened for me. And it was painful and hard. So that was my experience. I know some people have an easier time.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, it's not one of those things because I have obviously a lot of family members and older friends and stuff that are still religious. And sometimes I feel like they don't grasp the concept of you're not choosing to not believe. It's not a matter of choice to no longer believe. It's that you can't, because you've either come to a realization or experienced something that makes it impossible for you to do that anymore. At least that's my experience with it. I'm sure everyone's different.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, that's definitely how I felt. It became disingenuous to continue practicing, although I did as long as I could, and that just kind of slowly fell apart until
Me too. Yeah, same experience for me. There's actually an album that I think you would appreciate that came out end of last year-ish by a French-Canadian band called Givre. It's Givre. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. The album's called Destin Messianic. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
I have not.
But it's the exactly what we're just talking about. It's literally a journey through a loss of faith. But it's based very specifically in Catholicism. But I think you would appreciate the thought behind it.
Yeah, I'm sure I would. That sounds interesting.
So we wanted to get you on for a couple of reasons. Obviously, one that we're big fans of your music. As we talked about before we started recording the show, like I caught you live in San Diego, Brick by Brick with I Hate God. Absolutely phenomenal. It's a performance that's stuck with me since. So the second that we talked to who someone put us onto you, it was I'm trying to think of the name of the podcast now. I'm blanking. Noise Dosage Media. Yeah, Noise Dosage Media. Yeah. Put us on and said that you're open to podcasts, so we thought we'd have to reach out, and we appreciate you taking the time to actually come on.
Oh, hell yeah, awesome! I'm glad you caught that show and enjoyed it. That was a really fun tour for us. It was our our re-emergence into the world as a live act post COVID.
So was it the same live lineup before COVID, or did you change members following that?
There was one lineup change. One member, actually, it's kind of a funny story. So this person that I've made music with for practically my whole life, professionally, he goes by MSW. He has a project called Hell that I also am a live member of. He was Mizmor's drummer since we started playing live. And then he moved from Oregon to Texas right before the pandemic started. And so I had my close friend Nate Myers, who was also a live Hell member at the time, start playing drums. And then 2 years passed essentially. And the reason why I'll just call him Matt. I don't think he cares. MSW Matt moved out to Texas, was a school program, and that finished. And he moved back to Oregon before we had even played a show without him. But when he got back, our guitarist Kento had other things going on in his life, and he wasn't able to perform live with us anymore. So Matt came back as the guitarist when he was the drummer before. So that was the lineup change. We got Nate on drums, and we moved Matt from drums to guitar and lost Kento. But for me, these are all really close friends and people that we've all played in each other's bands for a very long time. So it doesn't feel like much of a change for me. It's just a different member of the family helping out.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome because you have that chemistry already built, which is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important to me. And also it's important to like have fun with the people you work with and like being around them. Like there's a couple aspects that are important to who is in your band, and musical chemistry is certainly one, but also just people you like to spend time with is a big one too.
Yeah.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it translates on stage as well if you have that existing chemistry too.
Yeah, that's the hope. I think it does. It certainly feels like that when we play together.
So we wanted to obviously talk about a couple of your releases. You had some stuff come out last year that made a lot of end of year lists, top albums of the year type thing.
Yeah,
we'd like to start if we can with talking about that collaborative album with Thou, Myopia.
Yeah, for sure. That was a really fun album to make. What do you want to know?
How did the collaboration come about? Who reached out to who?
Well, Thou, I've been friends with the members of Thou for quite some time now. I've been fans of their music for even longer, but I met them and kind of became part of the same network through performing with Hell, probably on a tour in 2013 or 2014. We played with them and hung out with them, and Hell had done a split with them. So we kind of started a personal relationship as far back as 10 years ago or so. And then we just, continually would cross paths over the years at fests and shows and whatnot, and just being fans of each other's music. So the groundwork was already laid to to do something creatively together. But let's see, how did the idea start? I think there was some like casual social media exchange where someone suggested that we do a split together, and that turned into talking about working together, which turned into the idea of collaborating as opposed to doing a split. And we just talked for a bit, and eventually, recorded ourselves playing guitar and sent riffs back and forth for a while, and that turned into having a couple skeletons of songs written and hashed out, and then needing to go visit them in New Orleans and get in the same room as one another. So it was kind of a hybrid of remote and close, present in the same room. I'm blanking on a concise word for that approach to the songwriting. That there were 3 trips in all, and lots of digital communication before the album was finished.
Well, it came together perfectly. I mean, it's you guys sound like you've been playing together for years. Like it almost feels like an existing project.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I was pleased at how it came out, because I think it's a natural blend.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also enough uniqueness to each project that it doesn't just sound like it sounds like both together and yet neither at the same time, like a new thing, but easy to parse. So yeah, and it was really cool for me because Mizmor hadn't gotten back together to do live rehearsals yet since kind of going into quarantine mode. We had like done a bunch of practicing to prepare for a bunch of shows that got canceled. And we were just kind of waiting until everyone felt safe to start working again. And there wasn't really any reason to start working again, because we didn't have anything booked because of the state of the world still. So the first time that I played live in a room of other musicians playing heavy music was with Thou. And they've been one of my favorite bands for the longest time. And
yeah, immense.
To kind of like have these songs that I wrote and then have like the heaviest band alive play them with me when I haven't like been in a room with a live drummer in 2 years was like, whoa, this is sick.
And then I guess, how did it feel kind of bringing sludge into your sound? Did it feel kind of like a natural addition to your overall sound, or was it sort of like wow, this is very different?
It felt really natural. I mean, Mizmor's had some sludgier parts over the years, particularly some of my earlier stuff was pretty sludgy, probably as a result of being influenced by Thou, for one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it was a fun marriage because, I mean, Thou does this too, but Mizmor has a tendency to like do a more melodic or pretty or epic kind of sound, and to kind of do that but tether it to like a nasty, sludgy kind of misanthropic, punishing sound. I think made for a really, really fun, like riff heavy album.
Yeah, definitely. It was very riff heavy. It was awesome. Then I guess before that you had Wit's End. That was the EP.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one, from memory, had 2 different parts to it. So like a first half and a second half, and they were both very different to each other.
Yeah, that's right.
What was sort of the inspiration behind doing such a vastly different album in 2 halves like that?
I kind of just, I like to take, like the split or the EP or the single as kind of an opportunity to be more experimental and just kind of get weird.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of my thought process there. I've gotten really into ambient music, and I was making some ambient songs, and rather than like make a new project, I just decided that like hopefully there's enough of my fans that'll just go there that are just here for the ride and also like that kind of music. And I can just start, doing what I want to do. And sometimes it's going to be a more like traditional Mizmor sound, and sometimes it's going to be weird. And I just kind of wanted to get weird. And thematically, it worked really well for me because Wit's End with broad strokes is kind of like a negative comment on potential direction that humanity is going in a dogmatic conspiracy theory, religious, magical thinking based mindset. And so the first song, Wit's End, the heavy song, is kind of has that vitriol and that comment on the world as I see it going. And then the ambient song, Pareidolia, was actually a really old song of mine, a Christian folk song, a dark Christian folk song that I had written before starting Mizmor. That was kind of the same idea of what Mizmor was going to be, of like kind of a sad psalm to God. And I took that song and, did certain modulations to it, stretched it out over time, did some stuff in reverse, distortion, reverb, tape, like all that kind of stuff to make a long ambient song out of it. But conceptually, I bring that up to say the B side of the record is like an example of a person that's in this magical thinking mindset. So the first side is like the comment on that, and then the second side is just a firsthand experience of that delusion, that kind of otherworldly, surreal, magical soundscape.
I think like
That's
going back
awesome.
going back to what you said in that your answer, I definitely think that your followers, your listeners, have an appreciation, I guess, for the esoteric and the ethereal, and I think that translates well to the ambient and dark ambient side of things. So I think it makes sense for your project to go in that direction at times.
Awesome. Yeah, I at least know that most of my fans are patient when it comes to. I knew it wouldn't be for everyone, but I knew that probably the majority of people can sit there for 15 minutes and listen to an ambient song without getting too impatient.
Oh yeah,
It's not like the response to Blood Incantation.
right.
People were angry.
The album art too really kind of like envelops your theme with that. It's like you're going through that little the opening mouth, and like that's just like transcend yourself. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have Justina to thank for that, because we worked together to make sure that the themes would translate into the painting she did, and came out really awesome.
Yeah.
And you did actually.
So people were really mad about the Blood Incantation record, because I love it, man.
Their fans were furious. Like I have them saved somewhere because I found it so funny. But a bunch of screenshots of people just losing it in like death metal groups on Facebook. Like I waited 30 minutes and the album didn't even start. Like
yeah. Aren't there better things to complain about? It's not like they're not going to give you another ripping death metal album in the future.
Oh, exactly. Of course. They just had some fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You just you can't support a band having like a good time. Like, also, like, maybe they should wear some earplugs and they could probably hear some more notes and tones in there, because that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's actually one of the records I listened to the most last year.
Yeah, it was nice. It was like a chill album.
It was.
I'm an ambient fan though, so it makes sense. I like ambient and dungeon synth and all that stuff. So, but I think the funniest one of those albums that where a band put out something completely out there was Psy. Do you know that Japanese band Psy?
I don't know them.
Okay, they're like progressive black metal. Have been going since like the 90s. And they put out this stuff saying our next album's going to be like the darkest and the heaviest we've done and stuff. And then it dropped and heaps of people pre-ordered it, and it came out and they did a power metal album.
That's funny.
It's really good though. It's like a genuinely good album. But it was like so left field that a bunch of people were like, what is going on? um, but I mean, you before we change topic from the ambient stuff, you did do a split album, didn't you? Before that, it was called Dialethea with Andrew Black. With
Yeah, that's right. We did a collaboration album together. Andy and I have been friends since we were in fourth grade, and we've been making music together literally the entire time. He's also a live member of Mizmor, and
Awesome.
Cool.
he makes ambient records. That's his thing. So our challenge was to try to make some sort of blend of our sounds. To make a sort of sludgy, dark ambient record with no drums. And yeah, I hope that enough people are paying close enough attention so that a record like Wit's End isn't so weird for them, because I've already kind of been dabbling in this sound.
I actually really like that collaborative album. I put it on while I work sometimes. I mean, that's like my favorite thing about ambient and dark ambient stuff. You can just put it on and like still get stuff done and not like have to pay full attention the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. I like
Not that I don't pay attention to it, because it is you'll miss stuff if you don't, but it's like it's not like 100% demanding your attention like something complex riffs and lyrics and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mainly listen to ambient while I work.
And then I guess that brings us back to Kin, which was the album that I saw you play live. I think your show is dedicated to that album, I believe, a Brick by Brick.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
I think that was one of the shows we had enough time to play the whole thing at. There were a couple we only played 3/4 of the record, but
I think you played the whole thing from memory, because I think you had at least a solid over half an hour to play it.
yeah, the record's an hour. But I think
Oh, of course, it's two halves. That's right. It's two. Okay.
I think that I think there were only two bands at the I Hate God show, so we were free to take up an hour. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that we did play the whole thing there. But yeah, I just kind of how I was telling the story of our lineup change and how the pandemic was affecting us. I put Cairn out summer of 2019, and we did go on a short tour afterward, but we only played one of the songs from that record. We did kind of a mix set, so I still hadn't had the experience of like doing the proper album cycle tour on it. And before everything got canceled, we were preparing the full album set to play at Roadburn and a few other festivals, and then all that shit got canceled. So I was just kind of like, well, again, just hoping like everyone will go there with me, but I'm gonna pick up where I left off, even though the record is, it's almost 4 years old now. But at the time of our tour, it's a 3-year-old record. I'm still gonna try to, at least for me personally, do it some justice and feel like I went and played those songs everywhere, even though it's not new anymore.
Yeah, and then you had that incredible artwork as well from it was Marius. I always pronounce his last name wrong. Lewandowski.
Yeah,
I want to say. Yeah. I mean, that guy is prolific.
Was.
Yeah, passed away last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was sad.
Feel very honored to have worked with him. He also. This one wasn't commissioned, but we did license a different piece of his for the live album, Yod Live at Roadburn 2018. So two of his works grace my records, and I feel very grateful for that.
Very cool.
Who did the artwork for Yod?
Zilaslav Baczynski.
Okay, because that's an iconic image. Like that one's always stuck with me from the first time that I saw it.
Yeah, he's a old Polish master. He's been dead for a little while, and I licensed that piece from the historic museum in Sanok, Poland.
It's awesome.
It's very cool. Yeah, it's very haunting.
Saw it somewhere and was like, that's like the perfect image for how this record feels to me. I have to figure out a way how to use it in a legitimate sense. I mean, his work gets used a lot in underground metal by bands and for albums that gonna get enough press for it to be an issue that they've essentially stolen it, and that's cool.
Mhm.
That's the world I was brought up in.
Mhm.
But I had high hopes for the record, and was like, I have to do it legit. And luckily, I was allowed to, and it wasn't outrageous to do. But I think
Nice.
I think it has changed since then. I've talked to other people that have tried to license his work, and that it's just outrageously expensive and not tenable anymore. So I kind of lucked out. They like changed some staff members and stuff, and I think I got in there at the right time.
You got lucky for sure. You
Yeah.
beat the rush.
Yeah.
I actually remember a few years back there was that weird craze on social media where people were using some app that made pictures like of people dance and sing, so it animate their faces. And someone used it on your album cover, and it actually worked. The software allowed it for some reason. So the big face in the middle was actually like singing and dancing in this video that someone made using the app.
Nice.
And I think it was to something ridiculous. It was like it was to like the YMCA, that song by the Village People. So yeah, I don't know if you saw that circulating, but that was going around for a bit there in some black metal groups on Facebook.
I've seen lots of Yod memes and I love them all, but I've never seen that one. That sounds great.
If I ever come across it, I'll email it to you again.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the main albums I wanted to discuss. But Brendan, do you have any questions you want to ask album-wise?
We kind of covered it just talking with.
I guess the one other thing I would add from my camp over here, I can't say too much about it, but at this point, very recently, I announced my new record, Prosaic, which is coming out on Profound Lore Records this summer.
Ooh, I missed that announcement. That's awesome. That's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. It's a new. It'll be my debut with Profound Lore. I've been working with Gilead Media for the past 7 years, so on to something new. Very excited.
Nice.
They're a fantastic label. So great company there.
Nice. Well,
yeah, I agree.
I guess. Have you got anybody that you worked with new on that one coming up that you can talk about at all, or no?
Yeah, I can say a little bit. I actually didn't work with anyone new on the record. I've got some people I really love working with that I just want to keep evolving the sound with, and so I worked with Sonny DePerry again. He mixed Cairn and he mixed Yod, and also worked with Adam Gonsalves, who mastered those records as well. And we're just, what's interesting me about that kind of thing is you can listen to what's changed over the years. You have the same people, but maybe there's new gear, and of course there's new techniques, and everyone's always getting better and changing their approach. And so I found it interesting to just take a song off Prosaic and take a song off Cairn and take a song off Yod, and just like 30 seconds listen to each one and just broad strokes like, wow, this sounds this way compared to that, and etc. But yeah, I'm quite comfortable working with those guys. I think that they're just simply the best in the game, and I'm super stoked on how the record came out.
Awesome. We can't wait to hear it. Ready.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited for that. I saw you had a bunch of cool long sleeves and whatnot. Did you paint that? What do I want to call it?
Yeah,
Black Flame.
Yeah, yeah. That's an illustration I did, and there was one I did a while ago that I called Field long sleeve. Those are both illustrations that I did, which is a newer thing for me, kind of putting my personal artwork on my merchandise.
Nice.
It does. Yeah, I love it. Love the sleeves with the logo going the whole way down on both sides. Looks awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
That's
So I guess
sweet.
we want to kind of kick it back to a little bit more old school project of yours and kind of talk about Sorceress, if that's okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's appropriate. There are records coming out next month.
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
saw
That's
that.
it's a reissue, right, of the full length Beneath the Mountain.
It is a reissue. Yeah, the music is from 2009, but it's never been on vinyl before. It's only ever been on like self-released CD by the band. So this is
Oh,
a
awesome.
big deal for us that, 14 years later, we finally get like the full treatment.
That's fantastic. And so, I mean, for anyone who's not familiar with the project, what would you say Sorceress is? Is that stoner doom?
Yeah, stoner rock, stoner metal. It's psychedelic. It's experimental. And this was a band. I think we started in 2008, but we were a different band with the same members right before that called Love Machine. That was around in like 2006 and 7. So that band just kind of started progressively getting heavier until we rebranded, changed our identity. But this is a band with people I've already mentioned: Matt, MSW, Andrew Black, and our friend Blake Farron. This, making music together, making metal music together is something we've been doing for quite a long time now. And yeah, having someone like Todd at King Volume Records have enough faith in the record to resurrect it and put it on wax is pretty awesome. Actually, right after this interview, I'm going to go meet up with the guys and give them their personal copies of the record. We just got them in the mail, and they look incredible. And we're going to have an old school hang and reminisce and look at the records together and drink a couple beers.
Good.
Awesome. That's awesome. And then I guess the other project that you had was Urzeit. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that done? Is that like permanently finished, or is that on hold?
I mean, we've never said like it's permanently finished, but it's been on hiatus excuse me. It's been on hiatus for 7 years. So we don't have any plans to do anything. I am of the mindset of like never say never, but for all intents and purposes, we're not a band.
Okay.
But
Because I mean, it's a really cool sound. It's like it's somewhat similar to Mizmor at points, but it's very it's more abrasive, it's more biting, a little more chaotic.
yeah, totally. I found it was a fun sort of contrast to Mizmor in that way, because Urzeit's a lot more like close to kind of traditional black metal, where it's like still got some crusty heavy metal punk kind of vibes in there. And the other two members, Rory and Mike, from they're best known now for their band Triumvir Foul. They were definitely bringing the sort of more nasty, disgusting influence to it. So we met in the middle, balancing out the sound. So there was a little bit of atmosphere and prettiness, and mostly just disgusting, pummeling rock and roll black metal. And I think that shit's really, really fun.
Triumvir Foul, correct me if I'm wrong, but they just said that this was their last album, right? The one that they just did, the Onslaught to Seraphim.
I believe that's true.
It's sad. That is sad because it's a fantastic project.
Yeah, they kind of do that thing the best,
Mm-hmm.
It's
Definitely.
so fast and chaotic, and just if I'm going to listen to something like that, I'm probably going to reach for that.
Yeah, it's like kind of suffocating with how punishing it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, long time ago, I sat in on bass live, and I helped them play their first show.
Oh, really?
Back in the Urzeit days, and they just had like their first Triumvir Foul tape or something. I did one concert with them. It's not my kind of. I never play that kind of music, but it's like I'll try to play the bass. I don't know if I can play it that fast, but
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about music, so we kind of want to get to know some other stuff about you outside of music. I guess like, do you have any other hobbies and interests? Like, are you into like cinema or like reading? What else do you like?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I'm kind of boring. I don't know. Like I do music and I do drawing, and then like, yeah, I like TV and movies. I like some video games. I spend a lot of time taking care of my house. I'm a newer homeowner with my partner, and there's lots of
Congrats.
Hey, thanks. There's lots of housework and yard work to constantly be doing. I just mostly do chores and art, but I do relax with TV, movies, and video games. I read a little bit. It takes me. I enjoy reading, but I'm a slow reader, and it takes a lot to get me to commit to read the whole book. A lot of times I'll read like the first quarter and be like, yeah, this isn't happening for me. So I read maybe like one or two books a year. I enjoy it, but I'm just slow. So it has to be a specific kind of thing for me to like really invest the time in it.
I get it. I'm kind of the same. And I keep saying I'm going to read stuff, and then I just end up rereading Lord of the Rings again. So,
Awesome. Well, Lord of the Rings is definitely my all-time favorite movies.
They're good.
Mine too.
I've spent some time reading The Hobbit and most of the trilogy. I never finished it, and some of the Silmarillion. But yeah, like I watch the movies at least once a year.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I used to do a marathon once a year where like it's kind of impossible to do it in one night, but over like a course of a weekend, like maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, watch like all three movies extended edition.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Oh, I can't wait to do it.
Oh.
I was like, I have kids. My kids are like 7 and 4, so I'm like waiting for them to like get into that kind of stuff, like full fledged, like be able to watch a movie with real people and all that stuff, and not like be too boring, and
Right.
I got a little bit of time before I can like really dive into that again.
That makes sense. Before we started recording, you were saying you're originally from Australia, and forgive me if this is heresy to compare the two, but have you been able to go to New Zealand and see any of the sites from the filming of the movies?
So I actually am a New Zealand citizen. I moved here from Australia, but before that I was in New Zealand, and originally South Africa. So I'm kind of like from all over.
Wow.
But yes, I have done quite a few of the hikes in the South Island and the North Island around like the filming sites. And I have been to Weta Workshop, where they do all the special effects and props for all the movies.
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
if you're ever there, I highly, highly recommend doing the tour, because you can actually go in and handle a lot of the props from the movies. They have like all the chainmail and stuff, and some of the swords, and some of it you can't touch, but some of them they're like, yeah, you can like touch it. Like it's pretty sweet.
That is absolutely bucket list for me. I'm just like waiting to get a cool like fest invitation for Mizmor so that I have an excuse to take my friends there so that we can see Lord of the Rings shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's like a hike you can do. It's trying to think what it's called. It's in Tiarnau. I think it's called. Let me just double check the name of it. Tiarnau. I think it's called the Kepler track, but I want to confirm. Yeah, I want to say it's the Kepler track, but it's like 3 or 4 days if you ever have time. But you end up in like this mountain. It's over a mountain into a valley, and there's like huts along the way that you can stay in as you hike for like overnight. Just bring a sleeping bag and like a little gas cooker, and that's where they actually filmed all like the scenes with the ants, with the forest, and all that stuff. And then like a lot of the hikes, you'll kind of recognize some of the mountain ranges from the movie and stuff. So it's like there's just a lot of iconic scenery in that small area. And then just north of there, you have Paradise, where they filmed a lot of the scenes as well. So there's a lot in that sort of area, in about a couple of hours driving distance from each other.
So cool.
Yeah, and actually, Queenstown, it doesn't look like it, but Queenstown in New Zealand is actually where they created Mordor, and they just edited. No, not Mordor. It's a Mordor or Isengard. one of the two. It's either Mordor or Isengard. But they just edited the mountains there to look darker and more ominous, and that's actually the range outside the city there. Yeah. Sorry, I can talk about Lord of the Rings for forever, so I better not go down that path.
I won't be bothered by that.
I did actually meet the former, I want to say, his head of international distribution at Amazon. I met him at a work party thing, and he was responsible for putting out Rings of Power.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he was like very curious for me to give an honest opinion about what I thought of the show. So I was.
What did you think of the show?
I was very tactful, because obviously, like, I don't want to insult someone that's worked on it. I feel like visually it was stunning. I appreciated the world building aspect of it, but I feel like it missed a lot of the character and essence of the movies and the books. I feel like they kind of shifted it to be more of like an action adventure type feel, which is not what it was about. It was more about like high stakes fate of the world type thing, good versus evil, expansion of empires and like war between cultures. Like, and I feel like that some of that was kind of lost in the, hey, we're on an adventure, let's be like heroes type vibe of the show. But that's my personal take.
Sure. Yeah.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I have, and I really enjoyed it. I know there are nits to pick for like the true heads out there, but like with painting with broad strokes, I really liked it.
I'm optimistic for the second season because I feel like they're going to be very receptive to feedback, given how much money's gone into it. And they've taken some time to actually break between the first and second season to sort of see how it was received. So,
sure,
yeah, I think season 2 is going to be better, and I think it'll address some of the stuff that people got really butthurt about.
Yeah, it's interesting because like that's like, as like a true fan, that's definitely one way you can go, is to like get butthurt and be really picky about like the integrity of it. But another way you can go, which is where I'm at, is just like, I'm just here for it, dude. Like, yeah. I love that universe so much that like, if as you say, like making it more adventure focused is the price I have to pay to get a new series in that universe,
right?
Small price for me. I'm just here for it. Anything, give it to me, you know?
Right.
I'm the same. Yeah, I do agree in that aspect. It was nice just to see more of the world and have more Lord of the Rings content out there.
Yes.
So I mean that's why I felt conflicted, because I was happy just to see it and experience it again. And I did think they did make it visually stunning, and some of the parts are pretty cool. And then like I just spent so much time reading those books, and I'm such a freaking nerd about it that there are some things that really bothered me. But I think I'm just being picky, honestly. And I'm definitely not as picky as some of the people on the internet, because some people like literally will pick on things like, well, the armor was too shiny. I'm like, dude, calm down. Like,
those people have no joy in their lives.
It wasn't dirty enough.
That was an actual complaint. Like, I'm not even making it up. That was an actual complaint. I saw someone give like the show like a review of like 1 star. Like, even like the armor was too polished and shiny. And like, wow, okay.
They haven't had a chance to get dirty yet. Like, what's their problem?
It's hot off the forge.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like.
But also, the other thing that people need to take into account is that the estate didn't actually give them full access to a lot of the texts.
That's right, yeah.
So they didn't actually let them work with a lot of stuff, so that a lot of the stuff they actually did have to kind of make up as they went along and kind of fill in gaps. So that is kind of like, you know, that you have to cut them some slack in that aspect as well, of like accuracy to the text, because they weren't allowed to use it.
Totally.
Or like they'll say like that sword wasn't from that era.
Yeah, you're gonna get that. But
there's some timeline stuff, but I just don't care.
Exactly. But I mean, as far as adaptations go, I don't know if either of you are watching The Last of Us at the moment.
I am.
Not
what
yet.
Do you think, what are your thoughts?
I'm liking it a lot. I think
me too.
I think I'm behind one episode.
Okay.
But I think it's really good. I enjoyed both video games, and
me too.
So far the show is amazing, and I had zero expectations because video game adaptations are rarely good, and just
Right.
there was so much hype around it that I'm like, yeah, I hope it's cool, but I'm not going to be bummed at all if I turn it on and it totally sucks.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, I was so pleasantly surprised. Because the only thing I knew was going to be great was Pedro Pascal, because I absolutely love that dude and everything he touches. But
Yeah, he's
they
Yeah, looks like it's
they
got a great cast.
it does, yeah. And I like that even the parts where they've made like creative changes have worked. They've done it well, they've done it tastefully. And I don't know about you, but I watch those things after the episode where they kind of talk through it and stuff. And I think all their changes were like very justified. And like I understand why they did it type thing.
Oh, I think I missed that. So there's like a behind the scenes at the end.
Yeah, are you watching it on like the HBO app or?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you stick around at the end, they actually have a behind the scenes thing every episode, and they walk through like why they wrote it this way, and they interview the actors and stuff, and they talk about like how they played that scene and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay, cool.
Ooh, yeah. That's what I haven't. That's what I haven't watched. Is I gotta either get HBO again or trade somebody like Netflix or something like that for a password. You know,
HBO does like consistently good stuff. Like there are
We
very
were
few
sharing-
HBO shows that I'm like, oh, that sucked.
we were sharing it with somebody, and then like I don't know what happened, but then all of a sudden we were like, wait, everybody's logged out because like we all had like everybody shared like account profile stuff, you know, and it was just funny. And all of a sudden I'm like, no, there's stuff I
It's
want to
gone.
do.
So just because we are coming sort of close on time, Brendan, I know you have some questions you wanted to ask during the interview, so I'll let you fire those off.
Oh, yeah. What was your like playing live music? What's your favorite place to play around Portland?
Oh, like as far as venues go?
Yeah.
Good question. In terms of the metal scene, there's actually only a handful of places where shows seem to happen. There was one that I think everyone really liked for a few reasons. One of them being the ownership was really great. That was called the Tonic Lounge, and it closed a few years ago.
Oh.
Pre-pandemic, didn't have anything to do with that. But that was, I think, a lot of people's kind of base spot in the metal scene for a few years. Now, I really like to play the Star Theater. It's in downtown Portland. It's kind of a sister venue to the venue around the corner from it, which is called Dante's, which also a lot of shows happen at. But Star Theater, it just kind of has like a cool old theater vibe to it, like big red curtains that are tied back, and it has a little
Nice
balcony area, and it's just a good size. It's easy to, if you have a good draw, it's easy to fill, but it doesn't feel too small or too big. It's like just for most of the metal bands that play there.
Nice.
So at the moment, that's probably my favorite place to play in terms of like the aesthetic and the presentation of the venue. But I think the other place that's worth mentioning, so like after the Tonic Lounge closed, most shows either went to Star Theater or Dante's downtown, or they went to this place called the High Water Mark. And the High Water Mark is pretty small. It's more of the like bar club vibe. But it's got a really good vibe and mood to it. And sometimes it's really fun to do a super small, like sold out show there. And it's even a fun place to go when they're not doing shows. It's just got that kind of homey bar, welcoming kind of feeling to it for alt people. And so I like that place a lot as well.
Is Star Lounge the one that's just down the street from Powell's Books?
It is close to Powell's Books. Yeah. It's not quite just down the street, but within a handful of blocks. Yeah. They're in the same general area.
I think I remember that one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I would recommend seeing a show there sometime if you can.
Nice. And then I guess what's your like your favorite cities, like when you get out of your city, like where are you like going like to play? Like
I really like being in Colorado. Usually we either play Colorado Springs or Denver.
Nice.
We have a lot of friends there, and I just also like it feels not too dissimilar from Oregon in a lot of ways. I also like to play Austin. Austin's a fun city to play.
yeah.
Chicago is fun. I love to play St. Vitus in Brooklyn, New York. That place is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. And really just getting out and doing shows in general is just so fun. We had a really good show at
Yeah.
Love New Mexico. Cool stuff.
Yeah. There's some cool stuff going around there.
Yeah, the desert vibes are just really fun too. The vegetation and like the red clay color everywhere, and I also really love like getting everything covered in chili, green chili and red chili, Christmas style. Yeah,
Christmas style always.
Is there any places that like you're like I'm never going back there again?
No, not necessarily. We've had a difficult time through the years in multiple projects. Playing Boise, that's always like supposed to be a better turnout than it is for one reason or another. That one's always tricky. I wouldn't. I'm not saying I wouldn't play there anymore. It's just like,
yeah.
Is it gonna be the same as always though? I'm open to Boise giving us a good show.
Right.
Give them another chance.
When is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Oh, when we were talking about ambient music and whatnot, your album you put out with the Split, like I think it was like your first song that you made as Mizmor, with the birds. Did you record that in like your backyard, or where did you get all of that?
Oh shit! You're talking about Mizmor Zero,
yeah,
and the Yov release that's Sorceress and Mizmor.
Yeah,
yeah, that was recorded. I mean, those were just free samples I found on the internet. This was this was in like 2010, 2011, before I knew anything about how to make a cool recording or anything like that. I was 19 or 20 making that song and just like opening my laptop and being like, I want to hear birds, so
yeah.
That is just like a bedroom song. And as far as the bird samples went, I found those on the internet. Be nice to me. No,
no, that's awesome. No, that's cool. No, I was like, I wonder. I'm just curious about that. And then, well, I always love asking about food. But if James and I were coming knocking on the door, where are we gonna go get some lunch?
We would probably go get tacos.
All right.
Tacos are, I think, probably my favorite food. They're so versatile, and I also like the way they sit in my body, like especially for lunch. Like if you eat something too heavy, then like you can't work anymore. And I feel like the taco is like, it's a good punch of protein, and you just have a corn tortilla instead of like a wheat bun or sandwich type thing, and
right.
Get to have salsa and chips, chilies, some veggies, some fermented vibe. Yeah, tacos every day. Love them.
Hell yeah.
Did you manage to hit any taco places up when you were down in San Diego?
Not San Diego, but we had incredible tacos in LA. We played the Catch one, and kitty corner to the venue, there was just a stand. And it was good. I don't even think it had a name, Just like
those places are the best.
Selling tacos straight off the grill, tamales from the cooler, that type of thing. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah, we are very spoiled in Southern California for tacos, like anything Mexican, honestly.
Absolutely, you
Yeah,
are. Yeah.
we are. We are not. Oh, yeah, nice. Are there? What's your favorite brewery over there?
Oh, I don't think I have a favorite. In Portland in the Northwest, like there's this trend that's been going for a while. It's starting to change, but like there's just an oversaturation of IPAs and like
Oh, of course.
imperial IPAs and just I liked it at first. I do like the flavor of hops and pine and whatnot, but it's just
Mm,
gotten so intense. It's like how strong and disgusting can you make it and still get someone to buy it? And when you go to like the corner store or whatever to just get a 6 pack of beer, the entire cooler is different kinds of IPAs, and then like Coors Light and Pabst. Like there's
no in
no
between.
there's no diversity. Everyone just thinks everyone wants IPAs. So like I'm kind of getting burnt out on like the nice beer microbrewery Northwest thing right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
but I mean I don't want to be unfair. Like that's not the only thing. And my favorite
Mm,
kind of beer is sour
all right.
ales and gozes, mixed ferment type of thing, and there are some pretty good options for that. There aren't a whole lot of like sour specific
Mm.
breweries, though there is one called Great Notion that
Oh, I'll
puts out
check it out.
some pretty good stuff, but they get a little too crazy for me. They do like the puree beers where it's like
Uh,
you're like
Mhm.
yeah,
eating like alcoholic baby food.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's not fun.
And
I
like
work.
it tastes good, but I can't
Yeah,
have a whole one of those in my stomach.
yeah. Those are like milkshakey, like
Yes.
kind of.
Smoothies.
I got you. Yeah. I work for a brewery that makes sours, and
Oh, nice.
they're blended with fruit and whatnot. But then it's like fruit concentrate puree, like you know what I mean. So like, but it gets
Yeah.
filtered out like through like just naturally settlement, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's never been like you're not getting chunky beer. You're getting like nice good beer with like depending on the fruit, like it'll stain your clothes for sure.
Yeah, sure.
You know. Um, but yeah, those milkshakey ones, I've had a few from other places, and I'm just like, whoa, what is this about?
They're definitely interesting to taste. I just don't want a whole one.
Yeah.
If you're ever playing in Australia, like you tour there one day, and you go to a city called Brisbane, there's a brewery called Brisbane Brewing Company that was like a 5 minute walk from my old place, and they do the best sours I've ever had anywhere.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, they change it up like every week. They have a different sour, and they've gone through like everything you could possibly think of. Like there's one that was graham cracker, and that was absolutely amazing.
Wow.
You would not guess it, and it was so good. And then they have like this cucumber, they did strawberry, guava, pineapple, mango. Anything you could think of, they've gone through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we do one we do a few that are pretty cool. Yeah, we do a peach one, a blueberry one, pineapple, a passion fruit and dragon fruit one.
Oh, passion fruit. That sounds so good.
Yeah, that one's really popular. Well, we make a shit ton of that one. It's good. I'll send you some.
Oh, you're too kind.
Yeah, I'll get you some.
He will.
Yep.
Awesome. I won't refuse. It sounds great.
You got any more questions, Brendan?
No, I think we're good. Yeah, we know what we're eating, we know what we're drinking, and then
Cool.
yeah.
I got one more question for you then.
Okay.
And this is a tough one. If you were on a desert island and you had a solar powered Discman and nothing else but 3 CDs, what would they be?
Wow, that's tough. I would definitely need an Enya CD.
Okay.
I don't care which one, but because they're all great. but I would definitely need to listen to Enya. I would probably, I don't even know if this exists as a CD. I think it does. I would probably need Burning Witch, Crippled Lucifer.
Okay.
And so that would scratch my Doom itch. Cold World, Melancholy 2.
Great album. Good choice.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you give me another 10 minutes, I'd probably come up with completely different answers, but I just pulled those out of my butt.
That's why I like to put people on the spot with it, see what like first comes to mind type thing. So
Yeah.
it's a tough question though.
Yeah.
Cool.
I knew it was going to be a tough one, but that was like, woo.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you taking the time. Just before you go, where can people follow you and find your music?
People can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. If you just search for Mizmor. I sell merch myself. I handle my own merch store in the U.S. at mizmor.bigcartel.com. I ship worldwide. I also have a merch store in Europe for people wanting to save on shipping through Evil Greed. And I have my own Bandcamp page for selling digital albums. That's mizmor.bandcamp.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And everyone listening at home, thanks for tuning in. And come back next time. We'll have another guest.
Thanks for having me.